All right, thanks, and welcome back to Ottawa Studios of Inside My Canoe Head. I'm your host, Dr. D. Today, we're going to talk about risk tolerance, your life, how it informs literally everything you do. So sit back, grab yourself your favorite beverage. Let's get at her. Little steel drum to start the day. Thanks again for joining us at Inside My Canoe Head. Listen, risk tolerance is awesome, right? We talked a lot in the last episode. If you had a chance to listen to that, if not, it's available on all platforms, about your risk tolerance, how it's developed, your self-efficacy, your self-confidence, your belief in your ability to navigate exogenous shocks with little or no external assistance. All of those things help build it. But how do you translate that? What does that mean in the real world? So today we're going to talk about a number of examples of how your risk profile that you build if you follow our guidance in the last episode and your personal risk tolerance, how does that actually inform the rest of your life? Like the stuff that you actually do when you wake up every freaking day, right? And also how you structure your life and how you allow your life to be a friggin' nightmare or something that is very tightly controlled and well managed. Number one thing that we think it's going to inform is your preparedness timeline. We've talked about this in Inside My Canoe Head for years, literally years, about there is a timeline process within you developing a personal preparedness plan. It's linked to your shelter in place, right? So we ground everything in your shelter in place plan. When you and your family recover back to your residence in time of significant exogenous shock, things are going on in the world, you create a shelter-in-place plan where you are able to provide the 6 animalistic requirements of food, water, shelter, health, safety, and security to you and those for whom you're responsible. The timeline for which you want to do that is largely based on your risk tolerance. How concerned are you? How confident in your ability to provide? How confident in your ability of the systems around you to recover? Because remember, this is all based upon the failure of one of the 10 sectors of critical infrastructure. When one or more of them in a cascading fashion goes down, it creates a significant disruption for which you have to execute a shelter-in-place plan. When you do that, do you want to go with the traditional 72 hours? I'm really thinking it's probably going to be solved in 72 hours. I'm only really worried about that because then after that, I can figure it out, right? I'm a smart individual. I have confidence. I got a lot of friends. We'll make it work. Okay, that's that group of people. Then there's the people that we recommend who follow evidence. People who say, you know what, I love what you say, but really I don't care because I don't believe in opinion or experience, right? Those a researcher in me tells you that, right? So the research says that a little over 94% of the time in North America, when there is a singular or cascading failure of critical infrastructure, it is back up and running within 14 days. That's why we say 14 days. That's why we recommend here at Preparedness Labs Incorporated, Inside My Canoe Head, that your shelter-in-place plan be for 14 days because you will be slightly over 94% right 100% of the time. Right? So it's only in the 5.7 or 5.8% of the time where you have catastrophic failure. That is, for example, it takes out your water treatment plant. Say a tornado goes through a place and takes out your water treatment plant, and then you have no water. Obviously, they're not going to rebuild the water treatment plant or get a portable one sufficiently able to support a city for 14 days. So those are the exogenous shocks that have significant impact. Or you want to go longer, or you have a really low level of confidence in the system or a really high degree of need to be prepared. Now, these people need to go longer, right? So individuals tend to go 30, 60, or 90 days longer. Some city prepping, which is a famous channel out of the United States, says really 90 days is as far as you ever need to go. I'm at 90 days. And the reason I'm at 90 days is very, very simple. Because I have a unique set of circumstances and I have a unique group of people that I have to support that do require that extent of planning. Obviously, I'm not going to go into details about it, but I'm self-reliant and self-sufficient to a degree because nobody can be 100% self-sufficient for 90 days. So my shelter-in-place plan goes 90 days, right? which is 60 days in place and 30 days mobile. And I've talked about this on an episode that I did when I talked about my own personal preparedness level and why I have achieved certain levels and why I do that. So I go out to 90 days, but we recommend, based upon evidence, that you go to 14 days. So that's a concern that's informed by your risk profile, right? And your mobility concerns. How am I going to get where I need to be, right? What is the extent of your mobility challenges? What are the extent of the other challenges you may have with your family? That informs it. The other ones informs your physical health, right? The amount of danger you place yourself in through the work that you choose to do and the activities that you choose to do, right? So I spent 28 years as a soldier. I spent 2 deployments in Afghanistan. One was a training one, wasn't all that dangerous. And then I spent some time in Kandahar, Afghanistan. So when you've spent time in that sandbox driving around everywhere, you're placing yourself intentionally and knowingly at a significant increase of danger, right? Now, obviously, you take a lot of restraints with that. I had the right kit and equipment. I had the right training. I was surrounded by some of the baddest mofos on the face of this earth, and we were ready to rock, and we did rock. And so I'm still here for the most part. But I did that knowingly, right? That was not forced upon me. I chose to do that. It was within my risk tolerance, right? You may be a skydiver. You may be an iron worker 27 stories up. There's what you do in life, whether you realize it or not, your risk tolerance, your comfort with adventure informs a lot of these decisions, right? And then the amount of care you take care of your body, right? A couple of the people online, and I really take to this advice. I really, really think if you ever want to test your level of self-confidence is take your shirt off in a crowd. Dead serious. Take your shirt off in a crowd, and are you comfortable? Are you confident? Are you proud of the physical state that you are in, right? Because it's your responsibility to get in that state. You look the way you are 100% because of the things you chose to do. So are you proud of that? Are you taking care of your body? The visceral fat around your organs is causing your organs significant additional stress. Any extra weight you're carrying is putting a significant additional strain on your heart muscle, right? You're aging it at a rate far faster than you have to. These are choices you've made, right? Here you are. It is what it is. Use whatever phrase you want. Your risk tolerance has informed your care about your physical health. That translates to your mental health. Your desire to leave toxic people in your life, right? It's a self-licking ice cream cone. Like, seriously. People have toxic people in their lives. These are the people, and I define toxic people very easily. You look at the board and you write down everything they do. You can do that. Basically, think about it like this. On balance, do these people bring you joy or discomfort? Are they drama queens or drama kings? Are they individuals that when they explain something to you, they take 10 minutes to demonstrate to you how everybody wronged them, how they basically lay out the rules for narcissism every time that they talk. You leave them in your lives. You leave these toxic human beings that affect your stress and anxiety and your quality of life. You leave them in your life. Like, yeah, fire a family member. You got a brother or a sister who's a drama king, wish them the best of luck. Right? You don't have to have a Walmart-style meltdown on the microphone or a long text. You just stop talking to them. You just stop inviting them to things. You just stop saying yes when they invite you out to something. You basically let them go away. It's like turning off Facebook and never reopening it. It doesn't matter how many times people yell at you, that you're not there to answer, right? That's the beauty of it. Toxic people kill your joy and happiness, but it's you who's the problem because you're the one who allows them to stay in your life. And the other thing is, do you decide to live a 100 mile an hour life? And we talk about this in our book, Preparedness Simplified, book one, The Beginning, that's available on Amazon in an ebook. It talks about simply that your calendar, time is the one resource you can't replace, right? It doesn't matter how much money you have. You can't buy more time. So how do that's a great expression, but I translate that to your calendar, right? I do all of my planning, every task in the calendar. And we have one exercise in the book where you sit down and every activity you do in your life, short of poop, shower, and shave, you assign its appropriate time in the calendar, and then you look at the calendar. How much of that time's for you? How much you've booked your calendar, you've filled it full of things. Your days are busy. That's a high stress environment, and that's totally voluntary. Yeah, I get it. We have to go to work, or we have to create a business, and we have to dedicate time to earning an income to survive in today's society. But there's a crap ton of other time that you volunteer with other organizations. You do a whole bunch of other, whatever it may be. You living 100-mile-an-hour life is your fault. Now, if that's the type of life you live because of risk tolerance and you love it and it's then get after it, right? But if you're struggling and wondering why I'm running 100 mile an hour, you have an imbalance between your risk profile and your risk tolerance and your decisions. You have an imbalance, and you created that, and you've got to address it. We got a ton of podcast episodes in the last season 6, 7, and 8, all about how to deal with that. Then let's talk about your financial health, right? Your risk profile usually translates the most in your financial health. Your decision number one, as we talk about the trifecta of preparedness plans that we recommend that you have, one of them is your fired plan. So what are you going to do when you walk into work tomorrow, you get fired? Or you get to the end of your shift and somebody fires you, right? I could care less why. I could care less if you were wronged. I could care less if you were mistreated, right? That's all emotional garbage. And yeah, I need to know why. Okay, you can whine all you want. What's your plan when your arse gets handed to you and you don't have a paycheck anymore? That's your job, right? Your decision to not have that plan is a decision on its own. Your decision to say, hey, listen, I'll just figure that out when it happens. That's a decision, right? And so maybe you are the person that can swing fire and get a job at McDonald's tomorrow. No problem. You're not worried about it. You're willing to create a dog poop scooping business, whatever. Like, you're good to go. Great. That's your risk tolerance. But the majority of people aren't like that. The majority of people feel high levels of anxiety and stress, and they go through periods of discomfort, and they have their pity parties and, oh, woe is me, the world hates me, and all these other things when they lose their job. And they'll go through that whole emotional baggage drama like an episode of reality TV, but they won't take the time to build a plan to deal with it. Again, an imbalance between your risk profile, etc. Your emergency fund, how big is it? If your answer to that question is what is an emergency fund, you're not dissimilar from a lot of the population. But the point of that is that your size of your emergency fund is very much correlated to your self-confidence and your risk profile. So your comfort with uncertainty, your comfort with unknown whether you're going to earn an income will inform how much of an emergency fund that you feel confident with. So when you get up in the morning, you may have built an emergency fund of 6 months of expenses. Say Dave Ramsey, love the guy, no problem with him. He says start with 1,000, get out to 6 months. So if you've got 6 months of basic living expenses and a high interest savings account locked out somewhere, that may be your what do I do when I'm fired plan, right? As you think. I mean, we advocate that you actually need to take it a step further and determine what responsibilities you're going to take on, what job you're going to go to, etc. The issue that I have is that when people don't do either, and then they come aboard like, I was wrong, they fired me, what am I going to do now? How am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to feed my family? And my certain answer to that is, number one, empathy. I feel bad for you, but what was your plan? What was your plan when you get fired? Because everybody's going to leave the job you're in. You're going to get fired, you're going to quit, you're going to die, or you're going to retire. You're going to leave this job. So you might as well get ready to leave it on your terms, even if on your terms is 25 years later. Like if you join the Canadian Armed Forces as a military member, it's the best gig on the face of this earth. Even with the current culture wars that are ongoing, you got a decent salary, you can raise a family on it, and in 25 years, you get 50% of your best 5 years for the rest of your life until you're no longer here. That's a pretty darn good gig, right? So you're going to do 25 years to get that pension, and you're probably only going to get fired from the military when you get hurt or you do something really dumb, Or the military downsizes, what happened in the 1990s, and they fired a whole bunch of people on the spot in the middle of their contracts. We've done it in the federal public service in many countries when we've had to downsize the ballooning size of the public service. People just get fired in the middle. They think I'm an indeterminate employee, which means I'm guaranteed a job till pension time. And next week you find out that you're redundant by your company and you're offered a severance package and out you go. The last part of financial, it's your spending habits, right? Do you live by a 50-30-20 plan, a 60-20-20 plan, or are you just good to go? You just rock your life. You just concerned to make sure that you run out of month before you run out of money and you spend freewheeling. Your spending habits are a reflection of your risk tolerance and your risk profile, right? But sometimes they're out of balance. Sometimes you spend, and I hear this phrase, believe it more often than I think I should, is I could get hit by a bus tomorrow, so whatever. I'm just going to buy it and we'll just see whatever the hell happens. And I'm sitting there thinking, you are smoking crack if you think that's a good strategy. But people live by it, right? So if you think about risk profile, it informs your preparedness timeline. It informs your physical health, your mental health, and your financial health, which we argue here are the grounding of everything you do in preparedness is about your physical, mental, and financial health first. I could care less about what you're trying to stockpile in your basement. Highly irrelevant if you don't take care of you first. The last part that we're going to touch on is your strategic plan. Now, Season 6, 7, especially Season 8 was really, really dedicated towards hammering out the point that you need a strategic plan, right? Because the world is chaos. If you believe in the universal theory of chaos from physics translated to general human activity, it realizes there is no plan. So we talk about a strategic plan to put order into chaos, right? Because the world is chaotic event. All kinds of exogenous shocks are happening, external things beyond your control that you have no fault to, but they impact you. You didn't cause the tornado to start. You didn't cause the flood to happen. You didn't cause the fire to burn down the building your company is in so that you got fired. Like, you didn't cause any of this, but they impact you. A strategic plan is, where am I going the next 1, 5, and 10 years. Now, again, your risk confidence, your risk tolerance, your risk profile all informs how comfortable you are in long-term planning. I recommend the 5-year plan. The 10-year plan is a great visionary. It's far more fuzzy, shall we say. But really, I talk about a 5-year plan. And a 5-year plan is grounded in the 5 areas that you control. We just talked about your physical, your mental, and your financial health. Those are the first 3 in your 5-year plan. And you work backwards. It's like when you're planning an air mobile or airborne operation in the Army. You're going to attack a city from the air. You start with H-hour backwards, right? Because you can't plan to H-hour. You start with H-hour backwards. So when we talk about your 5-year strategic plan, we talk about first vision boarding it, right? So sit down and you have your 5 categories of physical health, mental health, financial health, relationships, which I call life, and professional. So you have those 5 categories that are up on the board, and you write the way, where do I want to be in 5 years, right? So physical fitness, there's several things that we talk about: sleep, diet, and exercise. What does that look like? Mental health, toxic people, calendar, calm and peace in my life. Financial, where do I want to be? What do I want to be doing? What does this look like? You're developing a picture you're working towards. You're thinking strategically, right? Strategic thinking is different from strategic planning. Let's not confuse those. Right now, I'm talking about strategic planning, doing the executable, shall we say, of that, which is laying out the roadmap. So you've got it clearly down. Where do I want my physical health, my financial health, and my mental health to be in 5 years? And then you look at my life, which is really your relationships. Where do I want my relationships to be? If I'm not married, do I want to be married? If I have kids, where are my kids? What's my kids' life? Healthy, happy, they're physically fit, they're doing whatever. If I have a spouse, do I still want the spouse in 5 years? Some people don't. What quality of relationship do I want to have? What do we want to be chasing? Where do we want to be living? And then you look at your professional life. And your professional life is, I need to earn an income. I need to have a purpose on this earth. I give back to my community. I work hard. What is it that I want to be doing? What do I want to do? And I'll give you an example of mine. There were 3 things when I started my PhD journey, and I executed my retirement plan from the Canadian Armed Forces in 2017. That was a 5-year plan, and I completed it in 2022. That was a clear 5-year strategic plan. I wanted to be 3 things. I wanted to be an author, I wanted to be a professor, and I wanted to be an entrepreneur. Those were the 3 goals that I had. Pretty wide scale goals because I needed, it's 5 years out, you have to be a little bit fuzzy. But from an author, I wanted to have a book published on Amazon. From a professor, I wanted to be contracted to teach part-time in a program at the master's level. From the entrepreneur, I wanted to own a Canadian company that had positive sales. Boom. Those are my 3 goals, right? Now, I didn't say I wanted to have $250,000 sales because there's a whole journey to becoming an entrepreneur that has aggressive patience. Again, we've got a podcast episode on how to become an entrepreneur. We've got a good series on that coming up. In season 10 that we're going to do is all about you seizing amazing joy and happiness from this freaking chaotic, crazy world once we've completed the 10 weeks of practical preparedness that we're on right now. So that's season 10, a little hint for you. When we look at your professional life, this is where I want to be. So now you have these 5 categories, and I talk always in the rules of 3s, right? So I have 3 very clear deliverables. Like I said, you want to have a published author on Amazon. You want to have this, whatever it may be, they're clearly there. So you're looking at a board, and you're looking at 15 individual items. So remember, you have 3 per, you have 5 categories, you have 15 things. This is what you want your life to look like in 5 years. You've clearly laid it out. That's the right-hand side of the paper, the right-hand side of your whiteboard. You roll over to the left-hand side of your whiteboard, and you have the same 5 categories, and you write down where you are. This is the honest, no poop, take your shirt off, look yourself in the mirror, and have an assessment. These things are good to do periodically, and it's not an exercise in beating yourself up, right? It's an exercise in being honest with that incredible, awesome individual that is in the mirror and saying to them, okay, here we are, good, bad, and indifferent. It doesn't matter how we got here. Don't forget how we got here, but here we are. Right? And now I have a 5-year strategic plan, a 1-year strategic plan in front of me of where I want to be. How do I get there? The strategic plan is you drawing a line between A on the left and B on the right, and then determining several waypoints along the way that need to happen. So, for example, I wanted to be an entrepreneur in Canada, okay? I had no intention at that time to leave the country, so I wanted to be an entrepreneur in Canada, right? So on the left was nothing. I had nothing to do with entrepreneurship, didn't know anything about it. And on the right, I wanted to be an entrepreneur with positive sales. So on the left, I drew a line between the two. What are the several steps that have to happen? Well, I didn't know that, right? I didn't know how to get A to B, so it's called research. And really, I'll be deadpan honest with you. I watched YouTube and went to the Business Development Bank of Canada and the Canadian Revenue Agency's websites, and I figured it out. It's all there for you. But I first had to incorporate, and there's a small, easy process to do that in Canada. I had to create a bank account. I had to create a corporate profile name. I had to make sure the web domains and websites and everything. I had to have a web hosting service. You start to see what I'm doing. I'm delineating everything down, and I'm going to give you a very quick process of how you achieve every single thing you want in life, right? And this is very generalistic, but write this down. You have a dream. Dreams are beautiful. I love dreams. Dreams have to translate to goals. Goals are specific things that you put on the right-hand side of your strategic plan. That's your goal. I want to be fit like the dudes on TV is a dream. The goal is I want to weigh 180 pounds, be able to do 50 push-ups, 10 pull-ups, and hold a plank for 5 minutes. That's my goal. Very specific, very measured. Then you have to translate that to action steps. What are all the individual steps that I need to take in order to get from where I am now physically, I'm going to be politically correct, to where I want to be in the future? What are those very specific action steps, right? And then I have to put on the time assessments, as I call them. How long is it going to take me to do each one of these? What time do I need to invest? So if I have to get down to, if I want to be able to do 50 push-ups, I have to do upper body, chest exercise, and shoulder back exercises, right? I got to do weight training or body weight training to get there. How often do I do that? I'm a 53-year-old man. I'm reasonably out of shape, but I'm getting better. They recommend 3 full body exercises per week, right? For example, so now I have an hour. Now I understand that I need to invest 3 hours a week into weight training, right? To get where I want to go. The last part is calendar. You have to take that hour of weight training 3 times a week, and you have to put it in your calendar. If it's not in your calendar, you won't do it. Time is the one resource you cannot buy more of. So if you want your dreams, this is the process to follow. You take your dream, you translate it to an achievable goal, exactly what it is specifically. Then you got to figure out through research, what are the steps that I need to follow to get that goal? You then have to put a time assessment on each step. How long is each step going to take me, and how much time do I have to invest it? And you add it to the calendar. Now it's an executable. All you have to do is do it, right? I'm not getting to 180 pounds. I'm going to the gym 3 days a week to work out for an hour. You see the difference? 180 pounds, I got to lose 47 pounds. Oh my Lord, this is impossible. That's huge. No, I don't have to do that. What I have to do is go to the gym 3 times a week. And when you take that from your physical health, your mental health, your financial health, you take it from your lifestyle, relationships, and your professional, and you do a strategic plan, you translate everything on your board to time assessments and calendar, you book it in your calendar, you've now nailed it. All you have left to do is executables. Then it's just you looking yourself in the mirror. Motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes. All that we talk about is discipline. Discipline is doing the things that you need to do, whether you want to do them or not. Nobody cares if you're tired. Nobody cares if you're sick. You still have to execute the tasks that you've put on the calendar, right? Do it sick, do it tired, do it mad, do it sad, do it hungry, but do it. That is how you get your dreams done. And that is a measure of your risk profile and your risk tolerance. So hopefully you enjoyed today's episode. You brought something, you grabbed something out of it, helped for you to, as my Navy friends used to say, you hoisted aboard something that was useful and helpful. The end result is how you're currently living your life is a choice you're making. Living that life the way you are is a reflection of your risk tolerance and a risk profile. You build the risk profile that we talked about before. It informs some great decisions. Today was about doing it a bit in the arse reverse, as we used to say from the East Coast, of looking at how your life and doing an assessment. The last part, your strategic plan. I tell you, this is what I keep hammering about preparedness. The YouTube is full of these buy top 10 things, add 10 things to your basement. I haven't mentioned anything about supplies, and the reason being is preparedness is a lifestyle, not a stock pile. Seriously, folks, you got to understand that you have to take care of yourself and design an awesome, incredible life. That's your number one step in preparedness. Yes, you have a shelter-in-place plan. Yes, when you do your preparedness plan, there may be some gaps identified that require the acquisition of 1 or 2 items, but that acquisition can only happen after you determine your preparedness plan and after you determine through an analysis that there's a gap in your preparedness plan. And guess what? All of these things I talked about are free. Preparedness does not cost you money. Now, you can invest a little bit of money. We have books. We have an online video course to help you adopt a prepared life. But if you choose not to do that, that's perfectly fine. We've got 241 episodes on Inside My Canoe Head over 4 years. All of the information that is contained in every 4 purchase product that we have here at Preparedness Labs Incorporated is available on the channel. Like, it's on the podcast. You just have to listen to several weeks and up to near a month worth of nonstop podcast episodes to find it. If you're looking for a summative place where everything is drilled down together, well, we've got a couple of books and we've got a video course for you. Again, not a requirement to do it. It's there. It's low cost. It's up to you. So thanks for joining us here again this week at Inside My Canoe Head. Drop over to our website, www.insidemycanoehead.ca. There's a list of the recent episodes there. There's a link to drop me an email at jeff@preparednesslabs.ca to give me some feedback on what you think. There's also an option there for you can buy me a coffee. If you like what you hear on the podcast, you don't want to buy any of the books, you don't want to bother with any of that stuff, but hey, listen, I like this guy, I appreciate it. Buy him a coffee. It's $5 Canadian, a lot less American. And if that's not your gig, all that I ask is to keep this going and to keep it knowledgeable. Drop me a review on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, whatever it may be. Really appreciate a positive review. It just helps a guy out. And if you want to do none of that, then that is awesome. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. This is my gift to the community at large, my help in helping people adopt a prepared life and be more resilient. So thank you very much again for joining us. Take care. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.